هزتني نسمات الليالي فتراءى ببالي طيف آلام مرير أبكتني صرخات الأيام وأنين تنامى حول قيد وأسير.
So therefore, the most important thing we have in each and everybody's life is to worship Allah. A person can worship Allah Azza wa Jal. Of course, the best place is in the masajid. But at the same time, the fundamentals of worship, from prayer, dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal, dua, love of Allah, hope of His mercy, fear of His punishment, fasting and so forth, one can do those deeds just as well in prison. Now, a little bit about my case so you may know. Of course, this issue, as you brothers and sisters who attended the trials of the other brothers and knew, has been going on for quite a long time. I have for the last year and a half. My house was raided about almost 2 years ago, my passport taken away, and I have lost my job as a scientist at the university, been unemployed for the last 9 months. But during this time, I believe that Muslims need to educate everyone. And so I have tried throughout the last year and a half to educate the government, and I willfully and willingly, with an open heart, met with them on a number of occasions, maybe 7 or 8 times, to try to explain to them, to try to reason with them, to try to teach them, to try to hope to bridge the gap and not make an animosity between myself and them. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for wisdom, decreed that this did not bear the fruit that we had hoped for at the end. We had asked the government, when they had given me a choice last week to come in and confess to one crime. They said they'd give me 14 years in jail, or to face this indictment which carries, if I'm found guilty, and Allah, we ask Azza wa Jal to protect me from any evil, will face a life sentence. And of course, I could not sign or agree to something. I remember when I went to my parents, I was quite confused as to what to do. And my mother, she told me, she said, "Son, remember, death only comes once in life." And my father, who's 84, 85 years old, is technically blind, said to me, "Son, I would prefer to see you die in prison, and that you are keeping to your principles and to what you believe in, rather than for you to sell your soul and to be rejected by yourself first and foremost, and of course by your Lord." And I remembered when I was thinking, and I was trying to figure with my soul, what should I do? The Sharia teaches us, take the lesser of two evils. But I remembered that a person who, as a young man, a young boy, I grew up reading his books and loving, his teachings, Sayyid Qutb saying, and he was facing the executioner. By Allah, the finger which bears witness that there is none worthy of worship than Allah, how could it sign to something which is false? I remembered Ibn Taymiyyah, who said, "What can my enemies do with me? My paradise is in my heart. It goes with me wherever I go. To put me in prison is to let me have a khalwa, a private devotion to Allah. To execute me is martyrdom. And to kick me out of my land is a siyaha, or traveling, journeying in the path of Allah." So when I thought of these people who I read their books and studied and taught, and I compared myself, I knew that there was only one choice that I could take in front of me, is that to put my trust in Allah Azza wa Jal, and hope for His mercy, and know that whatever Allah decrees for me, in the end, it will only be good. And as Umar al-Khattab used to say, I do not care in what state I wake up in the morning, whether it's good or bad, since I do not know what is good for me or what is bad. Finally, we had suggested to the government, as some of you might know, I am also, besides teaching Islam, I'm working on my PhD, and I am 5 weeks away from doing my doctoral defense. My professors in the university have said that they feel that my research is something which is going to have maybe a great implication on understanding cancer. Some people have theorized that cancer, it develops in the body in a certain way, and I'm the first person, by Allah's grace and mercy, to have to try to prove or implement this theory. And we asked the government, we said, okay, well, you know, we've been for the last year and a half working with each other, trying to talk and so forth. Give us just 5 weeks. I mean, indict us, it's fine, but do it in 5 weeks. Let Mr. Al-Tamimi be able to finish his doctorate degree and publish his research that he's been working on for years so it can have a benefit for humanity and not go to waste. And unfortunately, the government declined this without giving reason, and one wonders if this is generated by politics or not. The election is only 5 weeks away, and obviously an indictment after 5 weeks would be past the election, and perhaps there would not be any immediate play. Allah knows best. Anyway, brothers and sisters, I don't want to take any more of your time. I only just said these few words that we remind ourselves that, in the end, we're Muslims. We are pleased with what Allah decrees for us. We know that what Allah has decreed for us would have never left us, and that what Allah caused us to leave us would have never hit us. And we also know that our purpose in life is not a PhD in cancer, it's not making this money, but it's to worship Allah. And I can worship Allah just as well in a prison cell as I can outside in this masjid. And I hope Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala returns me back to my brothers and sisters at the earliest time, and that He blesses each and every one of you and the rest of the Muslims with the good of this world and the hereafter. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم